Well, we were talking just a few minutes ago about codes.
Yeah.
And we were trying to say, how does a new person who's going to go out on their own, start their own business, where do they find these mythical codes at? Where do they exist? Hello, YouTubers. Thanks for tuning in with the Profit Dig Construction Show. Check us out sometime at profitdig.com. We got blog articles. We've got a great application to help you out on making quality bids very quickly.
Very quickly.
And
Track your job costs.
Yeah.
track your costs. Yeah, absolutely.
One of the most important things you can do.
It's probably the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, we were talking just a few minutes ago about codes.
Yeah.
And we were trying to say, how does a new person who's going to go out on their own, start their own business, where do they find these mythical codes at? Where do they exist?
Yeah, most of the time they're in your municipalities and your local courthouse of whatever area that project's in. Mm-hmm. If your business is in this county here, this area, and you're doing a job over here, well, whatever that local county is, or if you're in city limits, you may have two sets of codes you got to work by, a county code and a city code. So you've got to be familiar with their codes, how to apply for them, what you got to have, and there's always fees that go along with them.
Yeah, what do they give you some printouts, or you get a PDF?
Well,
You got to check out the library book.
Well,
How do you
again-
get these codes?
But there again, it depends on what area you're in. Like some places, you physically got to go down to the courthouse and get an application for your codes, fill them out, pay your fee, and then in return you will get your permit. So, but when you get into like more municipal, I guess larger areas like downtown Nashville, some of your more upscale communities and stuff, that has a lot more population, then most of them are more high tech, I call it. But you can go online and apply for your applications and stuff there, put your information in, and use a credit card to pay for your permits, and then they email your permit right back to you once
Now,
it's been
do
approved.
you budget for these permits?
Yes. And there again, your budget varies. If you do the same work over and over, your permits are going to basically be about the same no matter where you go as far as what you need. But prices are going to change based on different counties, different cities. Everybody has their own rates. And
Probably the time it takes to receive the permit.
Yeah. And then, certain counties and stuff will, not all of them require it, but a lot of them will have like inspection fees. So when your inspectors come out to look at your stuff, you may have to pay a fee to them. And so, you really got to be guarded on how many times you call your inspector, or kind of have a pretty good idea how many times you're going to need to call your inspector if you got to pay inspection fees.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then do you recommend doing multiple inspections if it makes sense for the project, or is
Well,
there very little usage of that?
It depends on your productivity, and as far as what you're doing. Like if you're laying, underground utilities outside the building or on site, you don't want to have a half a mile of pipe or ditch open because it becomes a safety issue. Weather, plays a role. If you have rain, your ditches start to cave in. So, when you have a good day's work or 2 days worth of work, then, you probably want to get that inspected so you can get it backfilled to protect your product and also to keep your job site safe. So, depending on what you're doing, you're always going to have, most time multiple inspections.
So when you go to the municipal building and you say like, "Hey, I need some codes," how do you know which codes you need to ask for?
Well, there again, when you go into the codes department, you're only applying for codes for your scope of work. So, like, hey, I need a sewer permit. I need a yard water permit or yard sewer permit. Depending on what you're doing, I need a grading permit. I'm going to start grading this, so you got to go to stormwater, have a pre-con with stormwater. They got to look at your drawings, look at your erosion control you're going to have in place. You got to have permits for that. You got permits for erosion control. It just depends on your scope of work. You know, you've got to know what permits go along with your scope of work. And just because this one county has to have, just say, 6 permits for your scope of work, well, you may have the same scope over here in this other county, but you may only need 3 permits. And, you know, a lot of smaller counties will wrap 2 or 3 different types of inspections up in like one location. So, or one permit, rather. And then there's also review fees a lot of times. You know, like if you're producing your own drawings and stuff, and you've got to send them in to be approved or be looked at, you know, by the codes department or the city, then a lot of them will charge you a review fee because they're taking their time to look at your drawings to approve your project. And so that varies. So, you know, if you're going to be producing your own drawings, you know, you got to figure that in because review fees, just like permits, the prices change from one location to another.
Now, how good are the codes for typically? Like, if you request the codes that you get, can you be sure that these are the most up-to-date codes for that area?
Well, most of them, you know, like your permits for your utilities, they would usually, you know, go 6 months to 12 months, somewhere in that neighborhood. Now, if you're doing like say I go get an excavation permit, got to cut in this street out here, do a tie-in in the street. I got to have a sidewalk closure, lane closures, and so I pay for, just say, a week's worth. Well, then if you see your scope of work's going to run over, you've got to get back down there before yours runs out and renew it for another 5 days. Or I can go in there up front and say, you know, I'm going to need this for 12 weeks. And I can go ahead and get it all, you know, to shut the road down for 12 weeks at one time.
Doesn't mean you have to shut it down.
No, it doesn't mean you have to.
But you are permitted
But
to.
I'm permitted to.
Yeah.
Now, and this may sound like a dumb question, but I mean, do I have to, as a contractor, do I need it, like if I wanted to, say you wanted to hire me to dig a pond on your property and you're just going to pay me for my services, do I need a permit for that?
No, now you may have to get a land disturbance permit.
Okay.
And
Land disturbance. Okay.
because the way the law is with EPA, if you just in our area, if you disturb more than 1 acre, then you got to have an erosion control plan.
Okay.
And so erosion control comes into effect, you know, so you got to.
So you had to have a permit.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
So it's, you know, just because there's no structures or any kind of municipalities you're going to be excavating or digging
Or
around.
even a bank involved for that matter.
What's that?
Is there even a bank involved for that matter?
Yeah.
I guess if even if it's private property, I still need to go through the proper procedures.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you have a major, you know, weather event and you have a lot of runoff off your project, off your farm or whatever, it gets over on your neighbors, it gets into a stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. Cool.
So yeah, it's pretty important, you know, to make sure you got everything in place.
Yeah.
And it's easier to do it up front than it is to get fined on the back end. And yeah.
Absolutely.
You building a pond?
No, I'm not better.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just curious. I mean, just like, you know, if the guy, you know, brings a contractor in to build a deck, he might need a permit. But if you want to go out and build a deck on the side of your house, you don't have to tell anybody. You can just go get the wood and start building it.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that that's how it's supposed to be, but
Most time it varies like from city limit to county.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're in city limits, you do something like that, you know, you're probably gonna have to have
Have
a
to
permit, but outside the city limit, and a lot of places will have so many square feet. If you do an addition that's X amount of square feet, you gotta have a permit.
Yeah.
If it's less than that, then you're free to do what you need to
Free to
do.
do what you want. Okay. All right.
All right.
Well, you've pretty much answered my questions regarding codes and obtaining my permits.
Yeah.
I feel
Code
ready-
breakers.
I feel ready to go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys joining us. Jeff Spencer, thank you for your insight
Thank y'all.
as always. Jeff Gibbons, good to see you. Producer Jerry, fine job as always. Check us out at profitdig.com. We have one hell of a construction bidding application. You can perform your job costing, enhance your bidding process. Just check it out. Thanks for checking out the channel. Like the videos. Leave us some comments. Follow the channel. Let us know what you want to talk about. We'll see you soon.
And best thing about Profit Dig,
Yeah.
using it as a bidding tool, job costing tool,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything out there any cheaper,
It's probably the most
affordable.
most affordable. Yet it covers the most important elements from bid to cost. So
Yes.
check it out. We'll see you guys
Thank you.
Thanks.
later.